friends, welcome to CEC Gurukul Lectures. I am Dr. Parveen Sharma. As we have started the series of lecture developing positive attitudes, today in this session we will focus our discussion on the topic barriers and theories of attitudes. By now we are aware what do we mean by attitudes, how the attitudes are acquired, and what are the characteristics of attitudes. We are trying to understand how the negative attitudes can be turned into positive attitudes. Today we will understand what are the barriers in developing positive attitudes and what are the theories of attitudes. Attitudes are acquired through experiences or upbringing. Our behavior is directed by our attitudes. Some of the attitudes we hold very strongly, and out of those attitudes, some attitudes are negative. But if the right direction is given, those negative attitudes can be turned into positive attitudes. But some barriers come in the way. When the things do not come out as we had expected, we start worrying, we get anxious because we were expecting that the things will come out this way. But if the things or the results come out in the another way, we start worrying, we start developing negative attitudes that how the things did not turn up as I had expected. Actually, we do not learn from our experiences. When long back we had a discussion on the topic intelligence, there we discussed a lot that intelligence does not refer once acquiring the better grade or marks in examination. Rather, intelligence refers to one's adaptability to make adjustment and one's capability to learn the things more and more from the past experiences. So, when we do not learn the positive things from the experiences, what happens? The negativity starts, and this takes one individual to focus on thinking about or judging the questions like, why me? Why this thing happened to me? I am unfortunate. I knew it that I will not be able to get good marks. I knew my selection will not be done. So these kinds of judging questions are the results of negative thinking. This negative attitude is natural when one thinks like that. For example, when you are late to the office, you start grumbling and you start saying or developing negative attitude that I know when I will be late, the boss will rebuke me, and you start developing negative attitude towards the boss. Whereas you were late out of your lack of time management because you started late from your home. So this way we start developing negative attitudes. But if right direction is given, then this negativity can turn into positivity. See, these difficult situations are always not external. Most of the time it is internal. It is created by our own mind. It is created by our own perceptions. When we think, or what we think, or how we perceive the things, it makes our attitudes. Though I understand very well, it is very difficult for individual to stay calm and positive when one is facing a problem, because it is very easy for the counselor or the advisor to ask the another person to be positive, to stay calm. but it is difficult for the individual who is facing the problem, because only the wearer knows where the shoe pinches. Even then we have to make efforts for learning the positivity. See in this picture how the barriers are there in developing positive attitude. So today we will discuss what are the barriers. There are many barriers, but few of the barriers we will discuss today. For example, prior commitment, lack of information, balance and consistency, and lack of resources, or no reward, or unwilling to accept the changes, and many more. So we will discuss few of the barriers which come in the way of developing positive attitude, and after that we will discuss theories, and in the end we will discuss in the next session that what are the ways we can adopt to develop our attitude as positive. So let us discuss these barriers in attitude. First, prior commitment. Prior commitment is an obstacle, is a barrier in one's changing the attitude. It might happen that one individual has already committed to another person, to another company, another institution, or he or she has his own style of working, and when the other person wants him to change the company or change the working style or change the opinion, it might be difficult for that person, because that fellow has already committed to other person. So it is not possible for that person to change the style of working or opinion towards an object or event. So prior commitment is a greater barrier in changing the attitude of a person. Then lack of information. Sometimes it might be possible that the individual is having lack of information, and out of those lack of information, one forms the opinion or attitude which might not be correct, because the person is not having full information or the pros and cons of the situation. So that fellow sometime out of lack of information may not want to change his or her opinion. Then there is another point, that is balance and consistency. Generally people do not get ready to change their attitude. Why? Because it also matters what type of behavior they are receiving from the another person, because one wants to have consistency and balance in the attitude. So it also matters what kind of behavior one is having from the other person, one is receiving from the other person. Then non-availability of resources. Sometimes there is non-availability of resources, and that acts as a barrier in changing the attitudes. Sometimes one makes the plans, but due to lack of resources, obstacles come in the way of its fulfillment. So changing of attitude is not possible. And sometimes no reward is a point which comes as a barrier. Through an example, I would like to make it clear. Suppose in an institution or in an organization, the boss, the head or the manager wants the employee to work more and announces the reward, does not give the reward, or does not announce the reward itself, then the employees or the persons who are working there are not ready to work more, because there is no reward, no motivation. So in the absence of reward, they are not ready to work more, and they do not want to change their attitude of working more or their style of working. Then it might be possible that persons are unwilling to accept change because already the persons have some strong opinion in their mind. I was speaking to you just few seconds before that sometimes it is possible that we are holding some opinion very strong, and out of those opinion, some opinion might be, some attitude might be very strong and might be very negative. So sometime it is possible that the person is clinging to that negative attitude, and it is very difficult to expect from that person to change the attitude because that person is unwilling. So that unwillingness to accept the change is a great barrier in changing or in developing the positive attitude. See in this picture, two persons are shouting at each other because one is expecting that the other should change the attitude and should work according to him or her. So both are shouting on each other that I am right and you are wrong. So this negative attitude does not take one to the path of success. Then doubt by others, self-doubt, worry and anxiety are some of the barriers which does not allow a person to change his or her attitude, because when one tries to change the attitude, starts worrying or starts having doubt on others and on oneself, because these emotions originate from your thought which comes from your limited beliefs. And some more barriers are lack of confidence. When one tries to change the attitude, then out of lack of confidence one is not able to change the attitude. Then lack of finances or resources. Suppose you go to market and you want to buy a product, but you are running short of finances, and you know that you are not able to buy that product, but you like that product. Then because you are running short of finance, then you say that this product is not good because you are not able to buy. So this way your attitude towards that product will be negative. Then another factor is degree of fear. Sometimes one individual is afraid, if I change my course of action, if I change my discipline for study, if I change my opinion, what will happen? I may be insulted from others, or people may laugh at me, and I may not get success on the path which I choose. So this way, out of fear, sometimes people are not able to change their attitude. Then lack of teamwork. Sometimes the individual is not of cooperative nature and does not like to work in a team. Most of the tasks are successful when you work in a team, because then you get the cooperation of other person, you got the ideas of other person, so it becomes a help and you get a helping hand. But when people are not ready to work in a team, then the attitude is not able to change. Then inadequate information. When you are not having full information, then you are not able to change your attitude. And sometimes it might be that you have framed the unrealistic aims in your life. To have aim in your life is important, but when you have unrealistic aims, it takes you towards negativity, because you know that you are not able to fulfill that aim, and it will bring negativity. Because when we had a discussion long back on the motivation, on the motivational techniques, when we were talking, we discussed a lot that teacher and parents must help the children to have a realistic aims in life, so that they can get success. So when individual is not having realistic aim in life, then it might be possible that it brings negativity and they are not able to have a positive attitude in life because there is a lack of motivation. Sometimes it is quite possible that children have potentials, they can do a lot, but they do not get the adequate motivation, so they are not able to change their attitude. So lack of motivation is also a barrier in developing the positive attitude. Then lack of consultation, sometimes out of ignorance or out of ego, children think that we know more than anybody and they do not consult anybody that which career will be suitable for me, which discipline would be suitable for me, and what will be the working style best, what should be the learning style or working style of a particular task. So this way, when one doesn't consult the other person, it might be possible that one is not able to change the attitude in a positive manner. So I hope the barriers which I discussed with you in changing the attitude are quite clear to you. There is a long list of the barriers, but I have discussed with you the important few barriers which come in the way of changing the attitude. So if one gets proper direction, it is possible that one can change the negative attitude in the positive attitude. So before we discuss the technique and ways, I would like to discuss the theories of attitude in brief. There are various theories. Theories are in three categories. First theory is theory of cognitive consistency, and cognitive consistency theories have four types of theories, that is balance theory, congruity theory, affective cognitive consistency theory, and cognitive dissonance theory. And the second classification of the theory is functional theory, and the third one is the social judgment theory. So we will discuss these four theories of first category, then we will discuss the second category, that is functional theory, then the third one is the social judgment theory. So to start with, we will discuss the cognitive consistency theories, and out of the cognitive consistency theories, first is the balance theory. Let us see what does the balance theory says. You know, as we acknowledge the various factors influence attitude, according to these theories, it is tried to maintain balance and resist the influences. See, when we were talking about barriers, we saw that there are many barriers, and one tries to maintain the balance by eradicating those barriers in changing the attitude. So one tries to resist those influences. The basic assumptions of these theories is the need of the individual for consistency. It is expected that there must be some consistency between attitude and behavior. It means one wants matching between belief and knowledge with evaluation about an object or issue. You know, try to understand, when one tries to evaluate any issue or any object or a person, so there must be some consistency between that evaluation, that attitude, and that reaction, that is our behavior. And when it lacks, creates discomfort, and one has to make adjustment. Try to understand, when we have different attitude and we do not behave, when we do not react according to our attitude, then there is the inconsistency and one tries to maintain the balance. So when there comes the inconsistency, one gets discomfort. means every individual wants to reduce the inconsistency and makes effort to change the attitude and make adjustment. For example, there is a child who is given counseling about good career and good study habits. Then after realizing the importance of study, he might change his attitudes and starts paying more time to studies instead of wasting time. So what does the balance theory says? This theory was given by Haider. Here the three elements, person, other person and the impersonal identity are linked with the consistency in judging people, because understand, we judge a people or we judge the events, we judge the issue. So there are three things, three elements: person, other person and the impersonal identity. For maintaining balance, all the three elements have to be positive or two negative or one positive. When two elements are positive and one negative, then it brings imbalance and creates instability. It creates tension. One tries to find a way to bring balance. Two types of relationship are considered to exist between the elements. Then when we talk about relationship in balance theory, there are two types of relationship: unit relationship and sentiment relationship. What is unit relationship? When one belongs to the same family or when the members of the group have been educated from the same institution, from the same school, or have some another kind of common bond. That is what we mean by unit relationship. And what is sentiment relationship? How people feel about something. So there are two kinds of relationship: unit relationship and sentiment relationship. As in when a rapport between these relationship breaks, imbalance will create, but the individual will make effort to maintain balance. Here the individual will change the attitude to maintain the balance. On some grounds, this model has been criticized as it does not state the degree of linking or unit relationship nor the relevance how one perceives. So the degree of attitude change cannot be predicted because it does not tell the degree of balance or imbalance. So on the basis of this, it has been somewhat criticized because it does not tell about the degree of imbalance or balance. However, Abelson opined that this theory helps in understanding the role of impersonal communication and persuasion. Means it matters how much influential a person is who persuades the other person to change the attitude. See, I was talking to you that some opinions we hold very strongly. So, but those attitudes may be changed, but it matters in whose company we get influenced, who is able to influence and change our attitude. So it matters. Then after the balance theory, second theory is the congruity theory. This theory was given by Osgood and Tenenbaum. It is the change in evaluation of source and a concept from where we acquire the attitude. So when there comes a change in the source or from where we acquire the attitude, when there is a change, it talks about that. Congruity exists when a source and concept that are positively related have exactly the same evaluation when a source and concept are negatively associated, as they have exactly the opposite evaluation attached to them. Congruity is a stable state. How? Incongruity is unstable one. As I was speaking to you that if there is a change or there is lack of coordination between our attitude and behavior, then a stage comes that is unstable because one start feeling discomfort. So incongruity leads to attitude change. For example, there is a teacher who likes two students, Geeta and Rita, equally. One day what happens? Geeta comes to the teacher and tells the teacher that Rita used unfair means in the examination and uses bad words about her. Earlier to this episode, the teacher was holding a good or positive attitude about both the students, but once it happened, the teacher may start developing disliking about both the students. How? Because Geeta used the bad language, that's why teacher started disliking for Geeta. And for Rita, why the teacher started disliking? Because teacher came to know that Rita used unfair means in the examination. So the teacher who used to like both the students, Geeta and Rita, equally, now after this episode started disliking for both of the students. Actually, we always want a stage of congruity. As and when congruity takes place, we make efforts to bring back the stage of congruity because we are never comfortable in the stage of incongruity. So whenever there arises a situation, there arises circumstances of incongruity, we try to find the ways how we can bring back the congruity, how we can bring the balance. For this, we may change our attitude. So, we have seen the theories, balance theory and congruity theory, and rest of the theories we will discuss in the coming sessions. So, viewers and listeners, I hope from today's discussion it is clear to all of you what are the barriers in changing the attitudes and what are the theories of attitude. We have discussed two theories today, balance theory and congruity theory. Rest of the theories we will discuss in coming session. I hope it will be helpful for you to understand further the ways how we can change our negative attitude into positive attitude, which is very important for living and leading a successful life. Thank you.